call for an end to the exploitation and oppression of all women. Since we last marched on IWD, the 10-year-long Harper government and the 44-year-long PC era in Alberta have ended. We claim this as a victory for working class women and salute the contributions and leadership of women in bringing this about. Many thousands of women, and many of you are here today, you know who you are, contributed in vital ways to advancing diverse struggles in defense of their rights and the well-being of their families and communities and the rights of all. Women work to educate, organize, and mobilize their co-workers and community members to call for justice for missing and murdered Indigenous women and for an end to all violence against women. To defend workers' rights, including migrant workers' rights, and to protect the gains that women have made through their unions. To address glaring problems of inequality, including pay equity and systematic marginalization in male-dominated sectors. To protect the public services that our families need and deserve. To resist the austerity agenda demanding working class people shoulder the burden of an economic crisis they did not create. And to call for the supports that working class women need to achieve genuine liberation, including universal childcare and other fundamental reorganizations of our society, to acknowledge our collective responsibility for the caring work that working class women currently shoulder as an unpaid or underpaid burden. We celebrate that our efforts contributed to stopping some of the worst assaults that the Prentice and Harper governments had planned on our rights as women, as migrants, and as workers, and on the public services that our families need and deserve. We are happy that a woman who has marched with us here on IWD in past years is now our Premier. But we know that many women's lives have not changed for the better since these historic elections, and many women's lives are even more unstable and uncertain. The root causes of women's exploitation and oppression remain largely unchanged. In fact, the dramatic drop in resource revenue has amplified the austerity agenda that characterizes all social programs and all efforts to advance people's rights as luxuries or as burdens that we cannot afford, and especially those that would contribute to advancing women's equality. This agenda hides and devalues the vital contributions women make and heaps on extra burdens for women to hold together our families and communities in the midst of economic uncertainty and attacks on the services we need. However, we are emboldened by our victories, and we should take every opportunity we can to build our resistance. We know that only a mass movement capable of challenging the root causes of our exploitation and oppression will bring about the fundamental change we need. We're grateful for the Minister for being here, but we know that it's the women and the people who are leading, and we will continue to do so. So that we can be safe in our homes and communities. So that the responsibility for caring for our children, our elders, and our community members is collectively shared, our voices are heard, our work appropriately valued, and our governments working in our interests to provide the services our families need and deserve. The tradition of International Women's Day is founded on working class women's collective resistance. It was first inspired by the mostly immigrant women who formed their unions and went on strike to oppose their appalling working conditions in the garment industry more than 100 years ago. The tradition of IWD continued as women around the world mobilized on that day to oppose the First World War and expose the politicians and warmongers who perpetuated and profited from the horrifying loss of millions of lives. In 1917, Russian women who mobilized on IWD calling for land, peace, and bread helped spark the Russian Revolution. And in the decades following the Second World War, women mobilized on IWD to advance decolonization and national liberation struggles throughout Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Bread and Roses, a song inspired by the garment worker struggle, has become the unofficial anthem of IWD. It expresses the common thread that runs throughout the long and varied history of the day. Women marching alongside with men to oppose the inequality of concentrating wealth in the hands of the few at the expense of the many, leaving hearts to starve as well as bodies, and to call for a sharing of life's glory, the bread and the roses. IWD is an opportunity to come together as women from diverse struggles and communities. We build our understanding and solidarity. We strengthen our resistance to the common root causes of our marginalization and the forces standing in the way of genuine women's liberation. And we construct our vision for a society fundamentally transformed, which no longer depends on our exploitation and oppression. While we struggle to achieve this vision, we see that the true dignity of working class women lies in the fight for the rights of all, and we are honored to live our lives in the best of struggles. We are energized when we take to the streets in solidarity with the millions around the world who march on IWD. We raise our voices together and recommit ourselves to building a grassroots movement of working class women fighting for genuine women's equality and liberation. The members of our International Women's Day Organizing Committee are proud to have continued this tradition here in our city over the past 6 years at mobilizations that have foregrounded contemporary women's issues and the leadership of women in struggles for the rights of all. The mobilizations have been growing over the years, and we have increasingly recognized the need for an ongoing formation capable of building working class women's resistance all year round. We'll have more information after the march, or you can find us on our Facebook page, but we're having another event on Tuesday, March 8th, that will help us lay the groundwork for this exciting new direction. Thank you for joining us at this IWD rally and march, and for all the work you do to educate, organize, and mobilize in your organizations and communities. We hope that you will be able to join us on March 8th and look forward to seeing you again next year. The women united will never be defeated.
The women united will never be defeated. The women united will never be defeated. The women